Hello everyone, my name is Kylie Johnson. I'm going to be presenting on the strategic and marketing plan I've created for Houston Methodist Hospital. This is for Nursing 5342, Section 400, and I am currently a master's student at the University of Texas at Arlington. So to start this presentation, we are going to be going over the facility itself. So Houston Methodist of Woodlands was built in the year 2018. It is one of the 8 Houston Methodist hospitals in the greater Houston area. Houston Methodist the Woodlands does offer the same specialties and comprehensive care that patients can receive at the flagship hospital located in the Texas Medical Center. The population of patients that we mostly see are the white race, with an average age of 40.5 years. Houston Methodist of Woodlands is located on 725,000 square feet facility. Currently, it has 293 inpatient beds, with the majority of them being medical surgical qualified, 25 intensive care unit beds, and 24 operating rooms. It also has a fully operational cardiac cath lab, endoscopy suite, and interventional radiology suite. So the patient care delivery process and model of care. So the mission of Houston Methodist of Woodlands Hospital is to provide high quality, cost-effective care that delivers the best value to the people we serve in a spiritual environment of caring associated with internationally recognized teaching and research. Houston Methodist does focus on the company's value as well. These values, they not only integrate into the staff, but they are expectations of the patients that we do care for. The acronym we use is called ICARE. That stands for integrity, compassion, accountability, respect, and excellence. The facility itself is a Christian-based hospital, providing holistic, comprehensive care. The nursing ratio at the hospital, depending on what unit you're on, med-surg nursing will either be 1 to 4 or 1 to 5. Intermediate care or IMU, the patient ratio would be 1 nurse to 3 patients. Or if you're in the intensive care unit or ICU, you'd be 1 to 1 or 1 to 2. So the reason that we are creating this strategic and marketing plan is because of the current issue we're having. So at the hospital, we are seeing an increase in patient volume in the hospital. The patients that are coming in are more ill with both either acute or chronic illnesses. With the increased volume, we are having more patients needing the critical care side, but not being sick enough to end up in the intensive care unit. Currently at Houston Methodist, we only have 16 intermediate care beds at our hospital. The intermediate care unit is a hybrid unit, with half the beds being med-surg, the other half being intermediate care. Patients that are having these higher acuities are requiring more technology and a higher skill set from nursing to care for them. If patients aren't in the correct unit or receiving the correct care, it does bring up a safety issue and a cost issue. Holding patients in the ER is costly to the patients, or bedding patients in units such as intensive care units will increase the patient's cost and may also increase length of stay, while having patients having a critical event which would upgrade their care, it's not safe to keep them on a medical surgical floor where the nurses are not trained in critical care to help the patients in the long run. So the description of the strategic plan. So the plan that I have created will take place over a 3-year period of time. It will grow the intermediate care unit from 16 beds to 48 beds. How will we do that? We'll break it down into the next 3 years. So year 1, we'll start planning out the unit. There will be construction. That construction will create 32 beds. Currently, we have 16, so when you put them together, you do have the 48 beds total. Also, we'll start the hiring and training process of new staff members. By year 2, hiring and onboarding should still be occurring. There will be competency checkoffs with both management and the education staff at the hospital. The nurses that are being onboarded will be trained with the current IMU team, and hopefully by June of year 2, half of the beds will be open, so we can start moving the nurses who have had the training into those units so that would create 32 beds total. By year 3, we would want to open the IMU unit to the full capacity, so that would increase the beds of IMU patients to 48 beds total, 32 new beds created in the construction, plus the 16 beds that were available prior. Okay, so continuing the strategic plan. We have to look at the strength. So the strength is it will increase the critical care beds. By having more critical care beds in the hospital, we would have the ability to care safely for patients that need that more specialized or focused care that cannot be managed on the med-surg unit or observation unit. Providing a more high acuity / critical care beds, you'll see less patients holding in inappropriate locations, such as the emergency room or intensive care unit, so that will save resources for the hospital. Weaknesses: currently, we only have 16 IMU beds available, so if a patient does need higher level of care, they are forced to go into one of those 16 beds or upgrade into an intensive care bed, which is more costly for the patient. Opportunities. This will create more specialized nurses. It will provide the specialized unit with specialized nurses trained to care for these patients needing closer monitoring and interventions such as BiPAP or medications that need to be titrated. The intermediate care unit would offer larger rooms to help handle the equipment and also include bedside monitoring. The threats that we have with this plan being implemented are there are other locations nearby that do have fully functioning IMU units that are already created and functioning. There's hospitals such as Memorial Hermann, St. Luke's, and HCA Conroe that are all within a 20-mile radius that all have functioning intermediate care units, and patients do have the right to choose these other facilities to receive care if they feel that their needs are not being met. So the marketing plan also does focus on increasing the IMU beds at Houston Methodist Woodlands Hospital. The payers for this project, the hospital is a nonprofit healthcare facility, so that means that either it will go through charitable donations from the community or they will receive compensations through insurances such as Medicare or Medicaid. The hospital itself will have to make a plan for the management. Currently, the manager who's over the hybrid unit, we would ideally move into the IMU management role and hire for the med-surg management for the remainder of the unit. There also will be community advertisements to get patients in the door. That includes billboards, social media, television, commercial advertisement, and word of mouth. You should see an increase in patients choosing our hospital in the future if the advertising does go towards them. Also, you would see the target population being the patients in the area coming to the hospital being excited for the new project. HR will also be involved for hiring new staff for the intermediate care unit. They'll use word of mouth, online advertising, screening tools, and monthly recruitment fairs. Challenging we will be facing during the marketing of this plan will be the cost of onboarding new staff. On average, to onboard a new nurse, it is between $60,000 to $80,000 to bring them onto the company, and also the cost and time to build the new unit. With our last project, it took about 2 years for it to be fully functioning. So over the next few slides, you'll see our projections for the products and service line volume. We are basing our stats off of the intermediate care room rate of $634 per night. So year one just shows you the baseline data for the 16-bed unit. So as you can see here, this is year two. By June, you will see a sudden increase. That will be a doubling in the revenue that we are expecting. This is because we'll open from 16 beds up to 32 beds. In this slide, you'll see our year three production. We expect revenue to triple by the time the year three comes around. We'll be fully open to 48 IMU beds. So overall, why this project should be implemented: there will be an increase in the intermediate care beds available, and it's a great investment for the hospital and the community. There will be an increase in critical care beds increase in specialized nurses. It'll be more cost effective to patients to where they're not holding in the ER or in the intensive care unit, and increase revenue for the hospital.